Well, hello and welcome. My name's Lanita. I'm the scrappy grandma. If you're new, if you're not, you know that my life, if you've been following me, which uh, anyway, you know my life's been a little insane lately, and I wasn't able to do the last two Torah portions. Um, but I need to do this for me, so I'm doing it. But I'm also showing up real and raw in my pajamas with filthy, dirty hair and bloodshot eyes because life is beautifully hard right now. Anyway, so I'm going to share that in a different video because I don't want it to take up the Torah portion time. But welcome. This is my Torah portion weekly Bible reading playlist. And this week is what week are we? See, I'm so, I don't even know what week we're on. 8. This is week 8. And it is, I haven't even looked at the name. Vayesha, Vayishlach, Vayishlach, possible. And it is Genesis 32:4. I went ahead and I just went all the way back to 32:1 and added the extra 3 in there because I like to start the story. But anyway, and then it goes to 36:43. And then in the prophets, it's Obadiah. And Obadiah is, I think, the smallest book in the Bible. It's 1 through 21, which is the whole book of Obadiah. It's kind of special to me because my grandson's name's Obadiah. So, and Matthew in the Gospels, it's Matthew 2:13 through 23. So before we begin, Father Yah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for, what's the word? Helping me to push forward. I struggled with doing this and was just going to blow it off and do next, post last year's like I've done the past 2 weeks. But I need this. I need this rhythm. This rhythm, Father, is my peace. Your rhythm that you've put together is my peace and it sustains me. So, thank you for the opportunity to be strengthened and held up by your word, our Messiah. Bless this. Don't let anything come out of my mouth that is detrimental to anybody hearing it. Give them eyes to see and ears to hear what you would have them hear. All for your glory. I surrender myself completely to you for your word to go out. Thank you for the opportunity in Yeshua's name. Amen. And I'm just going to tell you, this is raw, real, and so who knows what it's going to look like. I mean, I've always been raw, real, but this is like stripped down even to another layer. So here we go. Ah, oh, the pressing, the pressing. But it's worth it. It's beautiful. It's hard, but it's beautiful. All right. So the eighth Torah portion, Vayishlach, he sent, describes Jacob's return to the land of Canaan and his preparation for a tense reunion with his brother Esau. Featuring Esau's vengeance, fearing, come on, eyes clear up, fearing Esau's vengeance. Jacob sends gifts ahead to appease him and pray for protection. That night, Jacob wrestles with a mysterious being, emerging with a new name, Israel, one who struggles with God, symbolizing his transformation and divine mission. Okay. Got lost. Divine mission. When Jacob and Esau finally meet, Esau embraces Jacob with forgiveness, and their reunion is peaceful. The portions then, sorry, maybe I do need to put the other last year's up. Can't stop leaking. Okay, so when Jacob and Esau finally meet, Esau embraces Jacob with forgiveness, and their reunion is peaceful. The portion then recounts Jacob's journey to settle in Shechem, where his daughter Dinah was assaulted, leading her brothers Simeon and Levi to enact vengeance on the city. Jacob moves his family to Bethel, where God reconfirms his covenant with him. The portion concludes with the deaths of Rachel during childbirth, giving birth to Benjamin, and Jacob's father Isaac, and a genealogy of Esau's descendants. Vayishlach highlights the themes of reconciliation, transformation, and the fulfillment of God's promises amidst human struggles. And like usual, Yah shows up just in time. He's got it all handled and he loves to show off. And he's doing it because this is timely, because this is exactly my my reunion with my father has been beautiful through difficulty. And it's beautiful and it's healed a lot. And there's a big story to that, and that's over in the other videos. Anyway, so let's stay on track. I'm going to share my screen. Thank you for your patience to me to get through this. Okay, let me see. Hold myself together. Go back up to Genesis 32. There we go. And oops. There we go. All right, and now share screen. That one and that one. And this is what happens when you have a grandma doing technology. Okay, should be working. Okay. Early in the morning, I'm starting, like I said, at Genesis 32:1, even though the portion starts at 32:4. But anyway, it's titled Jacob Fears Esau. Early in the morning, Laban got up, kissed his sons and daughters, and blessed them. Then Laban left and returned to his own place. Yaakov went on his way, and the angels of God met him. When Yaakov saw them, he said, "This is God's camp," and called the place uh, Machanaim, two camps. Yaakov sent messengers ahead of him to Esau his brother towards the land of Seir in the country of Edom. With these instructions, here's what you are to say to my lord Esau. Your servant Yaakov says, I have been living with Laban and have stayed until now. I find it really interesting that, in Isaac's blessing, um, firstborn, is it the firstborn blessing? Yeah, because Esau sold the birthright. So, but the firstborn blessing that Isaac did on Jacob, thinking it was Esau, and he said, your brother will serve you. But right here, he is humbling himself. He's learned all of those years that he served Lavan. He's learned to humble himself, and so he's humbling himself with his brother Esau and calling him, my master. I'm your servant. So humility goes a long way in being a peacekeeper. So okay. Oh, here's what you're supposed to say. To Esau, your servant Yaakov, I've been living with Lavan and have stayed until now. I have cattle, donkeys, and flocks, and male and female servants. I'm sending to tell this news to my Lord in order to win your favor. I mean, he's being straight up, which, he had been a deceiver. Now he's being quite honest. Well, he's trying to win his favor. The messengers returned to Yaakov, saying, "We went to your brother Esau, and he's coming to meet you and with him are 400 men." So, he's got his, men that he has accumulated. Yaakov became greatly afraid and distressed, and he divided the people, flocks, cattle, camel, with him in two camps, saying, "If Esau comes to one camp and attacks it, at least the camp that is left will escape." Then Yaakov said, "God of my father Abraham and God of my father Yitzhak, Adonai, who told me, 'Return to your country and to your kinsmen, and I will do you good.' I am not worthy of all the love and faithfulness that you have shown to your servant since I crossed the Jordan with only my staff, but now I have become two camps. Please rescue me from Esau, or from my brother Esau. I am afraid of him, afraid he will come and attack me with regard for my mother's or children, without regard for my mother's or children. You said, 'I will certainly do good and make your descendants as numerous as the grains of the sand by the sea, which are so many they can't be counted.'" So this is really beautiful. His prayer, you know, he starts coming out with, you know, you told me to do this. This was your will. And so because of that, I know that it's going to become good. But I'm having a moment in the flesh. I'm afraid. It's kind of like, a couple weeks before my dad got here, I was terrified of so many things that were such non-issues when he got here. And then wasn't expecting a lot of things became issues. But, it's that projecting that fear and, but then he ends it, he's like, "Okay, this is a situation. I'm scared, but you've blessed me and you've promised and you've sent me on my way to do this. And so, um, you know, please rescue me, give me favor, protect me," which should be our prayers every day, you know. And here, you said, "I will certainly do you good and make your descendants as numerous as the grains of the sand of the sea, which are so many they can't be counted." And, he's reminding himself, he's taking his thoughts captive and reminding himself what he's been told by the Most High. And that's what we have to do, when these uh, horrendous fears overtake us. It's like, wait, you've made these promises and you've directed this path, and I've surrendered it all to you so I can rest and have peace, even though it's hard or scary, that unknown, terrifying. He stayed there that night, and then he chose from among his possessions the following as a present for Esau, his brother. I find it interesting how he breaks everything up. And I know there's probably significance in all of these numbers of all of these animals and things, but I don't have the bandwidth to research that. Hopefully someone in our group on Thursday will have dug into this. I know there's several ladies that will, so I'll be able to learn from them and glean from what the Father has shown them. So he's just pointed out other things to me. Maybe one year I'll dig into this. 200 female goats. So, this is just what he's pulling aside for the gifts. 20 males, 200 female sheep, 20 males, 30 milk camels with their colts, 40 cows and 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys and 10 colts. He turned them over to his servants, every drove by itself, and said to his servants, "Cross over in front of me and keep a space between each drove and the next one." He instructed the servant in front of him, "When Esau, my brother, meets you and asks, 'Whose servant are you? Where are you going? And whose animals are those?' then you are to say, 'They belong to my servant Jacob, and they are a present that he sent to my lord Esau. And Yaakov himself is just behind us.'" Not really, but really, just not right behind him. He also instructed the second servant and the third, and all that followed the droves. When you encounter Esau, you are to speak to him in the same way. And you are to add, and there, just behind us, is your servant. Okay, so he's still a little manipulative. Um, for he said, I will appease him first with a present that goes ahead of me. Then after that, I will see him myself, and maybe he will be friendly towards me. And so this is all to be told. So he's not really being deceptive. He's telling him straight up. You know, he's back there. He's sending you more gifts. Jacob wrestles with God. So the present crossed over ahead of him, and he himself stayed the night in the camp. He got up that night and he took his 2 wives, his 2 slave girls, and his 11 children, and forded the Yabok. He took them and sent them across the stream, then sent his possessions across. And Yaakov was left alone. Then some man wrestled with him until daybreak. When he saw that he did not defeat Yaakov, he struck Yaakov's hip socket so that the hip was dislocated while wrestling with him. And the man said, let me go because it's daybreak. I don't know what the significance that is, but I find it interesting. But Yaakov replied, I won't let you go unless you bless me. And I'm thinking, he's very bold to do this. The man asked, what is your name? And he answered, Yaakov. Then the man said, from now on, you will no longer be called Yaakov, but Israel, because you have shown your strength to both God and men and have prevailed. And I think that means prince of God. Yaakov asked him, please tell me your name. But he answered, why are you asking my name? And he blessed him there. So he didn't answer him. Just thought it was interesting. Yaakov called the place Peniel, face of God, because I have seen God face to face, yet my life is spared. As the sun rose upon him, he went on past Peniel, limping at the hip. This is why to this day the people of Israel do not eat the thigh muscle that passes along the hip socket, because the man struck Yaakov's hip at the socket. 33. Yaakov raises his eyes and looked out, and there was Esau coming, and 400 men with him. So Yaakov divided the children between Leah and Rachel and the 2 slave girls. This is where I find it interesting, where he shows his preferences by who he protects the most. Putting the slave girls and their children first, Leah and her children second, and Rachel and Joseph last. Then he himself passed on ahead of them and prostrated him on the ground 7 times before approaching his brother. That's cool. He went on ahead. He had his wife and his children behind him and was hoping he could, connect with his brother and he'd be killed before his children. Hopefully that they wouldn't. Esau ran to meet him, though, and he hugged him and he threw his arms around his neck and he kissed him and they wept. Esau looked up, and on seeing the women and the children, he asked, who are these with you? Yaakov answered, the children God has graciously given to your servant. Then the slave girls approached with their children, and they prostrated themselves down. Leah, too, and her children approached and prostrated themselves. And last came Joseph and Rachel, and they prostrated themselves. And a couple weeks ago when I was doing the portion, prostrate, I looked it up, and it is literally laying face down, so I always picture these people, just laying themselves out in the dirt on the trail, just find it interesting. Esau asked, what is the meaning of this procession of droves I've encountered? And he answered, it was to win my lord's favor. Esau replied, I have plenty already, my brother. Keep your possessions for yourself. Yaakov said, no, please. If now I have won your favor, then accept my gift. Just seeing your face has been like seeing the face of God, now that you have received me. So please accept the gift that I have brought you. For God has dwelt kindly with me, and I have enough. Thus he urged him until he accepted. Esau said, let's break camp and get going. I'll go first. And Yaakov said to him, my lord knows that the children are small, and the sheep and the cattle suckling their young concern me. But if they outdrive them even one day, all the flocks will die. Instead, please let my lord go on ahead of his servant, and I will travel more slowly at the pace of the cattle ahead of me and the pace of the children until I come to my lord in Seir. Esau replied, then let me leave with you some of the people I have with me. But Yaakov said, there is no need, my lord, to be so kind to me. So Esau left that day and returned to Seir. So Yaakov, though, went to Sukkot, where he built himself a house and put up shelters for his cattle. This is why the place is called Sukkot, shelters. Having traveled from Padan Aram, Yaakov arrived safely in the city of Shechem in Canaan and set up camp there near the city. From the sons of Hamor, Shechem's father had brought one of the 100 pieces of silver. From the sons of Hamor, Shechem's father had bought for 100 pieces of silver the parcel of land where he had pitched his tent. There he put an altar, which he called El Elroy Israel, God, God of Israel. One time, Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she had borne to Yaakov, went out to visit the local girls. Either in it's either in Jubilees or Jasher, probably Jasher, one of the extra biblical texts. It's pretty out there. Not sure how I feel about it. It's not scripture, but it is uh, what is the word? Hebrew literature. So, and there is mentions in the Bible that it was read by the disciples and Yeshua himself. So, but anyway, it basically said something to the effect that Dinah and her mother both went to go like hang out with the women in the city, and they learned, there's some drama that happened. Oh no, what happened? Okay, but I don't remember what that is. But Leah and Dinah went. But anyway, so one time Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she had borne to Yaakov, went out to visit the local girls, and Shechem, the son of Hamor, a Hivi, the local ruler, saw her, grabbed her, and raped her and humiliated her. But actually, he was strongly attracted to Dinah, the daughter of Yaakov, and he fell in love with the girl and tried to win her affection. Not a good way to go about it, buddy. Shechem spoke with his father Hamor and said, get this girl for me. I want her to be my wife. Oh, the way things were done back then. When Yaakov heard that he had defiled Dinah, his daughter, his sons were with his livestock in the field. So Yaakov restrained himself until they came. So he didn't send messengers or anything. He just I'll wait till they get back. And Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out to Yaakov to speak with him. Just as Yaakov's sons were coming in from the field, and when they heard what that had happened, the men were saddened and were very angry and outraged with this man. Angry at the outrage this man had committed against Israel by raping Yaakov's daughter. Something was simply not done. Something that is simply not done. I find it interesting that they go back and forth with calling him Israel and then calling him Yaakov. But Hamor said to them, my son Shechem's heart is set on your daughter. Please give her to him as a wife and intermarry with us and give your daughters to us and take our daughters for yourself. You will live with us and the land will be available to you, and you'll live, do business, and acquire possessions here. But Yaakov already knew his destiny, his calling is not this. He has a land that he's going to end up inheriting. So then Shechem said to her father and brothers, only accept me, and I will get whatever you tell me. This gave large bride price, as you like. I'll pay whatever you tell me. Just let me marry the girl. The son of Yaakov answered Shechem and Hamor and his family deceitfully because he had defiled Dinah, their sister. They said to them, we can't do it because it would be a disgrace to give our sister to someone who hasn't been circumcised. Only on this condition will we consent to what you are asking, that you become like us by having every male among you get circumcised. Then we'll give our daughters to you, and we'll take your daughters for ourselves, and we'll live with you and become one people. But if you won't do as we say and get circumcised, then we'll take our daughter and go away. What they said seemed fair to Hamor and Shechem, son of Hamor. And then young men did not put off doing what was asked of them, even though he was the most respected member of his father's family, because he so much wanted Yaakov's daughter. That's that's commitment. Hamor and Shechem, his sons, came to the entrance of the city and spoke with its leading men. These people are peaceful towards us. Therefore, let us live in a land and do business with, let them live in the land and let us do business in it. And as you can see, the land is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters as wives for ourselves, and we'll give them our daughters. But the people will but the people will consent to live with us and become one people only on this condition that every male among us gets circumcised as they themselves are circumcised. Won't their cattle, their possessions, and all their animals? So they were looking at all that they could gain. And I mean, and this is how things were done back then. Clans would come together and, they would make agreements so that they could prosper and or survive. Um, so won't their cattle, their possessions, and all their animals be ours? Only let's consent to do what they ask, and then they will live with us. Everyone going out of the city gates listened to Hamor and to Shechem his son, to every male, and so every male was circumcised, everyone that went out the gate of the city. On the third day after the circumcision, when they were in pain, two of Yaakov's sons, Shimeon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, took the swords, boldly descended on the city, and slaughtered all of the males. They killed Hamor and Shechem his sons with the sword, took Dinah out of Shechem, and left. Then the sons of Yaakov entered over the dead bodies of who they had been slaughtered and plundered the city in reprisal for defiling their sister. I'm kind of on their side. I think they did a really cool thing. I think they handled it. Yeah, their dad didn't think so. And I don't know. They took their flocks, cattle, and donkeys, and everything else, whether in the city or in the field, everything they owned, their children, their wives, they took captive, and they looted whatever was in their houses. But Yaakov said to Simeon and Levi, "You have caused me trouble by making me a stink in the opinion of the local inhabitants. The Canaanite and the Perizzite, since I don't have many people, they'll align themselves together against me and attack me, and I will be destroyed, and my household." So now he's forgetting what he was promised. They replied, I mean, this is human. We remember, we forget. We remember, we forget. We go into fear, we project, we worry. Anyway, they replied, "Should we let our sister be treated like a whore?" God said to Yaakov, "Get up and go to Bethel, and live there, and make there an altar to God who appeared to you when you fled Esau, your brother." Then Yaakov said to his household and all the others with him, "Get rid of the foreign gods that you have with you, purify yourselves, and put on fresh clothes." And my curiosity is why they even had foreign gods with them in the first place. We are going to move on to Bethel. There I will build an altar to God who answered me when I was in such distress and stayed with me wherever I went. They gave Yaakov all their foreign gods in their possession and their earrings they were wearing, and Yaakov buried them under the pistachio tree near Shechem. While they were traveling, a terror from God fell upon the cities around them, so that none of them pursued the sons of Yaakov. So he's a promise keeper. He protected them like he promised he would. And they're walking in their way. They got rid of their idols and they're walking in obedience. And when you walk in obedience, his hand of protection is on you. Yaakov and all the people with him arrived at Luz, this is Bethel, in the land of Canaan. And he built there an altar, and he called the place Bethel, God of Bethel, because it was there that God was revealed to him at the time he was fleeing from his brother. Where Jacob's ladder, last week's portion. Then Deborah, Rivka's nurse, died. She was buried below Bethel under the oak, which was given the name Alon Bahut, oak of weeping. After Jacob arrived from Padan, God appeared to him again and blessed him. God said to him, "Your name is Yaakov, but you will be called Yaakov no longer. Your name will be Israel." Thus he named him Israel. God further said to him, I am El Shaddai, be fruitful and multiply. A nation, indeed, a group of nations will come from you. Kings will be descended from you. So this is the promise that he gets, the Israel, Jacob gets to stand on, so whenever things, and this is what we do, we've been given promises. They're in the word. We've been given promises. When you walk in obedience, he's a promise keeper and he's faithful and true and just to keep those promises. And so we have to hold on to those promises. And when things are like out of going crazy in a whirlwind and it's scary and it's hard, we've got to take those thoughts captive and remember he's a promise keeper. And if we're walking in obedience, we're completely surrendered and we're doing what he's called us to do, he is faithful and true. He will protect us. So, and fulfill his promises to us. Moreover, the land which I gave to Avram, to Abraham, to Yitzhak, I always pronounce that wrong, I will give to you, and I will give the land to your descendants after you. Then God went up from there where he spoke with him. Yaakov set up a standing stone in the place where he had spoke with him, a stone pillar. Then he poured out drink offering on it and poured oil on it. And Yaakov called the place where God spoke to him Bethel, the death of Rachel and Isaac. And so I find it interesting with the whole death with Isaac thing. So, man, I forget how many years. Well, what, it was 14. I think it was Jacob was 20 years with Lavan. And so, but Jacob, and I guess that's probably how their culture went is Jacob, because he was, his eyesight was going and he wasn't well, he relinquished, he turned over the firstborn, the firstborn blessing and, the firstborns, was he had the firstborn blessing, but when Jacob went to Laban, he had nothing. He literally only had a staff and his clothes. And so he didn't have any of the firstborn, I forget what it's called, but all of the goods because Jacob's still alive. I mean, uh, Isaac is still alive. And all the 20 years he was gone. And so he's still alive now that he's come back. So now he gets to come and be reunited with his parents again. Um, he's been reunited with his parents. He's seen them. And then he traveled from Bethel, and while there was still some distance to go before arriving at Ephrat, Rachel went into labor, and she had great difficulty with it. And while she was undergoing this hard labor, the midwife said to her, Don't worry, this is also a son for you. But she died in childbirth, and as she was dying, she named her son Ben-Oni, son of my grief. But his father called him Ben-Yaim, son of my right hand, son of the south, which what a better name for, someone to grow up with instead of son of my grief. It's going to be hard enough that she died in childbirth for him. So Rachel died and was buried on the way to Ephrat. This is Bethlehem, 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 Bethlehem. Yaakov set up a standing stone on her grave, and it is a standing stone on Rachel's grave to this day. Israel continued his travel and pitched his tent on the other side of Migdal Eder. And while Israel was living in that land, that Reuben went and slept with Bilhah, his father's concubine, and Israel heard about it. Yaakov had 12 sons. So, and I'm not sure if it's out of I think it's one of the extra biblical books, or it's a commentary, but Reuben, who is Leah's son and the one who brought her mandrakes, which mandrakes were for fertility because she had stopped having children and he wanted her legacy to continue. And now Rachel is dead, so she can no longer, have more children to build up her home, but she still does have Bilhah, which because she was a slave girl, her children are Rachel's children, so it goes under Rachel. But Reuben, crafty as he was, he went and slept with Bilhah and made her unclean so he cut off Rachel's line. Um, because he got rid of Rachel and her maid. And so, and they say that's why he did it. So the sons of Leah were okay. So anyway, he slept with Bilhah, his father's concubine, and Israel heard about it. And Yaakov had 12 sons. Um, so the sons of Leah were Reuben, Yaakov's firstborn, Shimeon, Levi, Yehuda, Yissachar, Zebulun. The sons of Rachel were Yosef and Benjamin. The sons of Bilhah, Rachel's slave girl, were Dan and Naphtali. The sons of Zilpah, Leah's slave girl, were Gad and Asher. These were Yaakov's sons, born to him in Padam Aram. Yaakov came home to his father Yitzhak at Mamre. Okay, so now here he's being reunited with his dad. He's been gone 20, maybe 20 plus years, and he's still alive. And so Yaakov came home and to his father Yitzhak at Mamre near Kiryat Arba, also known as Hebron, where Avraham and Yitzhak had lived as foreigners. Yitzhak lived to be 180 years old. Then he breathed his last breath, died, and was gathered to his people, an old man full of years, and his sons Esau and Yaakov buried him. This is the genealogy of Esau, that is Edom. Esau chose Canaanite woman, Canaanite women as his wives. Ada, the daughter of Eliam and the Hittite, and Olavma, the daughter of Anna, the daughter of Zivri, the daughter of Hivi, and Basmat, Ishmael's daughter, sister of Naviat. So, because remember, he went and because he knew that the Canaanite women grieved his parents, he went and took Ishmael's daughter, which is Ishmael from the slave girl, Abraham's firstborn, but didn't get the firstborn rights. Ada bore to Esphon, oh my gosh, here we go with the names. Eliphaz, Basmat bore Raul, and Oholivamah bore Yush, Yilam, and Korah. These were the sons of Esau born to him in the land of Canaan. Esau took his wives, his sons, daughters, and others in his household, his cattle and other animals, everything else he owned, which he had acquired in the land of Canaan, and went off to a country distant from his brother. Because now is when the firstborn that Esau sold, the firstborn, whatever. Now it's when it gets distributed because dad's dead. And so Esau's like, okay, I'm going to move because I don't have the firstborn rights. For their possessions to become too great for them to live together, and the countryside through which they were traveling couldn't support so much livestock. So Esau lived in the hill country of Seir. Esau is Edom. So when we talk later about the Edomites, they are the sons of Esau. This is the genealogy of Esau, the father of Edom, in the hill country to Seir. The name of Esau's sons were Eliphaz, son of Ada, the wife of Esau, and Raul, the son of Basmat, the son of Esau. The sons of Eliphaz were Teman, Omar, Zepho, Gatam, and Kenaz. Timnah was the concubine of Eliphaz, Esau's son, and she bore Eliphaz Amalek. These were the descendants of Ada, Esau's wife. The sons of Raul were Nahat, Zerah, Shammah, and Mizah. These were the sons of Basmat, Esau's wife. These were the sons of, I'm going to get this one right again because I just bleh. Aholiavma, Laholivama, the daughter of Anna, the daughter of Tiziv, on Esau's wife, who bore to Esau Yahush, Yalam, and Korah. The chief of the sons of Esau were the sons of Eliphaz, the firstborn, and Esau, and the chiefs of Teman, Omar, Tezpho, and Kenaz. Korah, Gatam, and Amalek, these were the chieftains descended from Eliphaz in Edom. and from Ada. The sons of Raul, Esau's sons, were the chieftains of Nahat, Zerah, Shammah, and Mizah. These were the chieftains descended from Raul in the land of Eden and from Basmat, Esau's wife. Then the sons of Oholiabama, Esau's wife, were the chieftains of Yaush, Yalam, and Korach. These were the chieftains descendants from Oholiabama, the daughter of Anna, Esau's wife. These were the descendants of Esau, that is Edom, and these were their chieftains. These were the descendants of Seir and Hori, the local inhabitants, Lotan, Shavo, Tizvan, and Anna. Dishan, Etzer, and Dishan. They were the chieftains descended from Hori, the people of Seir, in the land of Eden. The sons of Lotan were Hori and Heman. Lotan's sister was Timnah. The sons of Shovel were Avan, Manahat, Eval, Shova, and Onam. The sons of Tizvan were Ahai, Ayah, and Anna. This is the Anna who found the hot springs in the desert while pasturing his father Tivon's donkeys. I love when they throw something like this in the middle of it. At least it breaks up the tongue tie. The children of Anna were Dishan and Holiavma, the daughters of Anna. The sons of Dishan were Hemdan, Eshban, Yitran, and Karan. The sons of Etzer were Bilan, Zaavan, and Ekon. The sons of Dishan were Utz and Iran. Oh, those are easy ones, thank you. These were the chieftains descended from Hori, the chieftains from Lotan, Shavel, Tisvaan, Anna, Dishan, Etzer, and Dishan. They were the chieftains descended from Hori by their clans in Seir. I'm wondering if any of the ladies in our group on Thursday will have, I bet you somebody dove into all of this genealogy way beyond my bandwidth right now. One day, 1 year. That's the beauty of doing the portions year after year, is they take on new life every year, and you can dig deeper and deeper. Following are the kings who reigned in the land of Eden before any king had reigned over the people of Israel. Bela, son of Beor, reigned in Edom, and the name of the city was Dinhava. When Bela died, Yovav, son of Zerach, from Bitzrah, reigned in his place. Then Yovav died. Hosham, from the land of Temeni, reigned in his place. Then Husham died. Hadad, the son of Badad, who killed Midian in the field of Moab, reigned in his place. The name of the city was Avit. When Hadad died, Samlah and Masrakah reigned in his place. When Samlah died, Shaul of Retzovat by the river reigned in his place. When Shaul died, Baal Hanan, the son of Achbor, reigned in his place. When Baal Hanan died, Hadar reigned in his place, and the name of the city was Pau, and his wife's name was Mishhasaval, the daughter of Matrid, the daughter of Zihav. Yeah, unfortunately to me, this year, this is just all a bunch of it's take my thoughts captive. It is practice on my Hebrew or difficult names. These are the names of the chieftains descended from Esau, according to their clans, places, and names. The chieftains of Timnah, Alava, Yetet. Oh, here's Holivama, Ella, and Penan. Kenez, Temnah, Mitzvah, Magdal, and Iram. These were the chieftains of Eden according to their settlements in the land they owned. This is Esau, the father of Eden. And I think of Edom, sorry. And that is the end of that. Now we go to the Haftarah. And for those that are new and don't know what a Haftarah is, so when, and I'm not exactly sure. I thought that I had heard it's when the Greeks ruled over, but then I heard another when they were exiled in Babylon. So I'm not sure, but it's at one point in time when the Israel was either in captivity or being ruled by Greece, that the Torah was outlawed. And so they couldn't teach their children in the new generations the Torah because couldn't have it. And so what they did instead is they took the prophets and the books of wisdom and they took out stories from there that were similar or, correlate to the Torah so that they could still teach their children and teach themselves the Torah. Um, so they read these instead because this is something that they've done forever. As soon as, it was all, the first it was the storytelling to keep it alive and teach the children and go through it year after year in remembrance at the feasts and things. That's why we do the feasts, so we can remember and tell the stories of what he's done and how he's shown up and how he has taken care of what he promised he would. And so where was I going with all, the Haftarah? And so they taught from there. And then I'm not sure, I know that I looked it up, but I can't bring it to my memory right now when the the gospels got added to it. And it's a way of adding the gospels is just more, tying it all together, which is beautiful. We've got the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, we've got the Haftarah, the books of wisdom and prophets, and then we have, the gospels and the books, and the letters, the gospels and the letters to tie it all together. And a lot of times showing that, the end is from the beginning, it's all one big circle that Messiah was spoken about in the Torah and referred to. So Obadiah, the whole book, see one. And here we go. Edom will be humbled. Okay, so Esau is Edom. This is the vision of Avdiah. Here is what Adonai Elohim says about Edom. As a messenger was being sent among the nations saying, come on, let's attack her, we heard a message from Adonai. I am making you the least of all nations, and you will be beneath contempt. Wow. Your proud heart has deceived you. You whose homes are caves in the cliffs, who lived on the heights, and say to yourselves, who can bring me down to the ground? That's a dangerous comment. If you make your nest as high as an eagle, even if your place is among the stars, I will bring you down from there, says Adonai. If thieves were to come to you, or if robbers by night, oh, how destroyed you are, wouldn't they stop when they'd stolen enough? If grape pickers came to you, wouldn't they leave some grapes for gleaning? But see how Esau has looted their secret treasures, searched. Wait a minute. But see how Esau has looted their secret treasures, searched out. Your allies went with you only to the border. Those at peace with you deceived and defeated you. Those who ate your food set a trap for you, and you couldn't discern it. When that day comes, says Adonai, won't I destroy all the wise men of Edom and leave no discernment on Mount Esau? Your warriors, 10 men, will be so distraught that every one of Mount Esau will be slaughtered. For the violence done to your kinsman Jacob, shame will cover you, and you will be forever cut off. On that day you stood aside while strangers carried off your treasure, and foreigners entered his gates to cast lots for Yisraelim. You were no different from them. You shouldn't have gloated over your kinsmen on their day of disaster, or rejoiced over the people of Yehudah on their day of destruction. You shouldn't have spoken arrogantly on that day of trouble, or entered the gate of my people on their day of calamity. No, you shouldn't have gloated over their suffering on their day of calamity, or laid hands on their treasure on their day of calamity. You shouldn't have stood at the crossroads to cut down their fugitives, or handed over their survivors on that day of trouble. For the day of Adonai is near for all nations. As you did, it will be done to you. Your dealings will come back on your own head. For just as you have drunk from my holy mountain, so you will so will all nations drink in turn. Yes, they will drink and gulp it down and be as if they had never existed. But on Mount Zion there will be a holy remnant who will escape, and the house of Yaakov will repossess their rightful inheritance. Amen. The house of Yaakov will be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, setting aflame and consuming the stubble, which is the house of Esau. None of the house of Esau will remain, for Adonai has spoken. So it's interesting here. It's the house of Yaakov and the house of Joseph. Um, you know, is Israel, or Yehuda. Interesting. So the kingdom of the Lord. Those in the Negev will repossess the mount as Esau, and those in Shephelah, the land of the Philistine, they will repossess the field of Ephraim and the field of Shemaron, and Benaim will occupy Gilad. Those from this army of the people of Israel exiled among the Canaanites as far away as Zarphat, and the exiles from Jerusalem in Sarfad will repossess the cities in the Negev. Then the vicious will ascend Mount Zion to rule over Mount Esau, but the kingship will belong to Adonai. All right, and now to Matthew 2:13. The flight to Egypt. After they had gone, an angel of Adonai appeared to Joseph in a dream and said, "Get up and take the child and his mother and escape to Egypt and stay there until I tell you to leave, for Herod is going to look for the child in order to kill him." So he got up and he took the child and his mother and he left during the night for Egypt, where he stayed until Herod died. This happened in order to fulfill what Adonai had said through the prophet, "Out of Egypt I called my son." Meanwhile, when Herod realized that the Magi had tricked him, he was furious and he gave orders to kill all the boys and around Bethlehem, who were 2 years old or less, calculating from the time the Magi had told him. In this way were fulfilled the words spoken through the prophet Jeremiah. I think that's Jeremiah. A voice was heard in Ramah, sobbing and lamenting loudly. It was Rachel sobbing for her children and refusing to be comforted because they are no longer alive. After Herod's death, an angel of Adonai appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt and said, get up, take the child and his mother and go to Eretz Yisrael, for those who wanted to kill your child are dead. So he got up and he took the child and his mother and he went back to Eretz Israel. However, when he heard that Archelaus, whatever, had succeeded his father Herod as king of Yehuda, he was afraid to go there. Warned in a dream, he withdrew to Galilee and settled in a town called Nazareth, so that what had been spoken by the prophets might be fulfilled, that he will be called a Nazarite. So, all right. Well, I thank you for, let me unshare, stop sharing. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for your grace and your patience getting through my leaking. And just a lot going on here, but this for me was really good. Brought me back into the rhythm, and the rhythm is my lifeline. The Torah portions and the Father teaching me through them is what sustains me. So be blessed, and I hope this blessed you. And I prayerfully, Yah willing, will see you next week and for Torah portion 9. And I am going to be doing an update on just everything that's been happening. I'm not even sure what it'll be called. I forget what the Living in the Way. That is the playlist title. Basically just walking out what he has called us to do. and share the ups and the downs and the goods and the bads and the hards and the beautiful. So be blessed. Bye.